Hello everyone, welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibler. There is a live shot of downtown Portland, of course the river right there, and if you are ever in downtown Portland around dusk, you will notice there are thousands of crows that showed up. So that is something that happens actually in downtown Portland. Hello, I'm Greg Nibler. Appreciate you all joining us. We are live here every weekday at 1 p.m. Pacific. And of course, we cover a lot of topics on this show. We're live streaming on our social media channels, on our apps, and our website. So plenty of places to find the show. But there is a reason I'm talking about crows, and that is because there is an interview here that we are going to play of, I do have to say, the first time ever on this show that we have had an animal for a guest. Hoping this isn't the last one, but at least in person anyway. And that is because I had Kort Clayton, the owner of Integrated Aviary Solutions, in with his falcon, Lucy. We're going to be playing that in a minute, but let's explain why. So there was a press conference a couple of weeks ago with the interim Portland police chief and the mayor talking about something they were going to be doing downtown, some initiatives. In the background was a guy with a hawk. And I saw that and thought, you know, is this just something that's ordinary here in Portland where there's just a guy walking around with a hawk, or was it there for a reason? And it was there for a reason. So it's part of the bird abatement program in downtown Portland. This is one thing that happens if you've ever been down to the park blocks around dusk. There are thousands of crows that show up. This is an issue because it's messy, causes a lot of problems, and there are ways to disperse them in the bird abatement program, which is actually having people down there with hawks, trained hawks, to scare them away. That's a tiny, tiny part of what we talk about today. There's much more. Of course, it's much broader than that. They do a lot more things, and Kort was very nice to come down here to the studio to talk to me about this. He brought in one of his raptors, the falcon Lucy that I just mentioned, and we talked about the program downtown, but really about falconry in general. We talked about what they do here in the Northwest for farms and so many other programs, and all with using basically predatory birds, raptors, to scare away some birds that could be a problem. So we go pretty in detail, pretty in depth with it, talking about this, going into details about how it all works. And we're going to play that here for you, and then we'll come back, we'll talk about it a little bit more. Got a couple of extra behind the scenes videos that we'll play as well, but let's just go right to it here. Here is Kort Clayton with Lucy the falcon. All right, Kort, I am so excited to have you in here. I say that a lot, but this is something that I've been looking forward to. And here we are right now talking about falconry, talking about integrated avian solutions, talking about what you do downtown. But I think the biggest question that I have to start off is, how does one get into falconry? Look at that. Look at the timing there. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. It's pretty simple, really. It's regulated more or less the same way in every U.S. state, and in Oregon and Washington. You decide you want to do it, you do some self-study, you find a mentor, you take a test, pass the test, arrange your facilities and gather some equipment and get a permit from the state, and you're off and running as a falconer.
And that's it. So that's how you got into this. You just decided one day, like, I want to be a falconer.
30 years ago.
30 years ago that you've been doing this and still into it. So obviously you love it.
Right. I do.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a business around it.
Right. That's it. It was a hobby for 15 years, and it's been a business for the last 15.
Obviously, we have to talk about the falcon in the room right here. So can you tell us about, well, I guess, what's her name?
Lucy.
Lucy. This is Lucy. And I don't know what Lucy's doing right now, as long as Lucy's not mad at me. Picking at something back there. So tell me about Lucy.
Lucy is a 6-year-old gyrfalcon. She's gyr, G-Y-R. They're a large, in fact, they're the largest species of falcon in the world. They nest in the Arctic. So they don't nest here in Oregon, but wild gyrfalcons do show up here in Oregon in the winter occasionally. But yeah, they're just a big, fast, powerful falcon. And she's a female. In all the raptors, the females are bigger than the males. So she's about as big as they get in the falcon world.
And and how much does she weigh?
Lucy weighs 1,400 grams.
1,400 grams, okay.
Which is a little over 3 pounds.
A little over 3 pounds. All right, so what are the biggest, or the biggest?
Right.
Yeah.
The biggest falcon in the world.
Wild. And so let's talk a little bit more about Lucy too. So I mean, she seems very, I mean, other than what's going on in the back there.
Right.
Again, I'll keep my hands away. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I don't want to get too close if that's a problem. But she seems very calm. She's glaring at me right now, but seems very calm.
Well, she's been around. You know, she's a working bird, so she works at landfills and farms. She works around equipment and different levels of craziness and activity. So, yeah, so this is all good to her. She's confident. She knows she's safe here, and unless you start poking at her. She's fine.
I'm gonna keep my fingers away. I won't do that. Well, so you just mentioned some of the different things that you do.
Right.
You know, and that's you mentioned landfills, and I know in the city of Portland. Can you walk us through some of the different things that you do with your business and with Lucy?
We serve a variety of markets. Falconry has a role in falconry-based bird abatement. That's what we do. We scare birds away.
Okay.
We don't scare rodents. We don't catch rodents. We don't kill birds. We scare birds. And there's a lot of industries that can benefit from that.
Yeah.
Agriculture is one of them. Small fruits in particular, blueberries, cherries, wine grapes, all those things, birds love them. And they'll fly away with half your crop if you let them. So we come out with a team of falcons and chase them away and save most of the crop, and everybody's happy. So we do that. We work in solid waste, which the need is similar. The logic is a little different in that, it's like, who cares if somebody eats the garbage, right? But it's more of the operational situation and just the well-being of the populations of birds that are targeting the garbage. It's not good for them to eat it, so shoo them away and let them go eat natural stuff. So solid waste, agriculture, and then various other kind of one-off markets, places that have bird trouble, places in the city that have pigeons, those kind of things. And we work, as you know, in downtown Portland with those pesky crows.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. That's one of the first things I think that drew my attention to it is, if you've ever been in downtown Portland, there are a lot of crows that come through, especially around dusk. Or at least that's when I used to see them all the time. I mean, thousands and thousands of them.
About 12,000.
12,000, is that it? Yeah, so tell us about that. Why is it, I guess, that they're all downtown?
Right.
Do you know?
Crows all over in North America like to roost at night in urban centers. That they're attracted to the light, makes them feel comfortable. As long as there's some trees for them to perch in, they can concentrate. In some cases, not as much in our city, but in colder cities, they get a thermal benefit where they get a windbreak, and then just the heat of the city. It's warmer there than it would be out on the countryside. And they're social creatures, and they definitely, everywhere they live, wherever, whether it's in the city or not, they concentrate in the winter in these big communal roosts. And they're not as visible when they're on a hillside in the forest, but when they're in downtown, people notice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and they're loud. They're there. They're messy. They're messy. Yeah, all of the above. And so, how does it work then with Lucy to scare them away, or I guess that's what it is, right? It's scaring them away.
Yeah, it's scaring them away. It's reshaping their use of that downtown area, because they're a native bird. They have a right to be here. We're not trying to kill them. Nobody has the expectation of forcing every crow out of the city of Portland. But what we don't want is 10,000 crows in about a 12 square block area. It's just too much. It's too messy. So the goal of the downtown work is to disperse those crows out of the places where they most want to be, which are the most problematic for the business community in downtown, and to push them to the periphery. So not only do they spread out over a larger area, they go off in every direction, and the densities are lower in all those places than they would be if we let them sit where they want to be.
Gotcha.
So instead of 400 crows in one tree on the transit mall, and the next tree on the next tree, there's 50 crows in a tree over in the North Park blocks. So,
right, dispersed, spread out, easier to manage, easier to handle. So when you go down there, how does that work? Like a setting, you just have Lucy go fly over them and just give them a glare, or how does that work?
Right. So we have a team of falconers, 4 or 5 of us, and we each have a Harris hawk. Not Lucy. She's not on the downtown team.
Gotcha.
Harris hawks are a semi-tropical, super intelligent, semi-social species of hawk that they operate in pretty tricky environments, like our downtown at night. Lucy would not be into that, so that would not be her jam. But Clive is my Harris hawk that I bring down there, and like I say, all my team has their own hawks. And we spread out, we communicate via radio, figure out where the crows are, figure out where they're going and coming from, and we intercept them and we push them and all kinds of things to keep them moving and make them uncomfortable in that core area where we don't want them. But what that really looks like, minute to minute, if you're looking at a falconer and watching us, we just simply get out of our trucks, release the hawk, She goes and, he or she goes and sits up on a pole, flies up to a building, and we walk, and they follow us. And wherever we go, the crows see us, and they see the hawk, and they go the other direction.
Do they associate you with the...
Totally.
So you're
Even our
known by
vehicles.
crows? Really?
You pull in, and they'll hear the squawking begin. The guy in front of you, whose spot you just took, they didn't care about his black Tundra.
Yeah.
But I pull in my gray Tacoma, and they know it's me.
Enemy of the crows. That is fascinating. So that's the downtown one, and that's with the coordinated hawks.
Right.
Coordinated hawks that use there. So how many different I guess birds do you have?
Right. I have six raptors.
6 raptors.
1 hawk, 5 falcons.
So they all fall under the raptor category.
They do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Raptors collectively catches your eagles, owls, all your hawks and falcons. What am I forgetting? Kites.
Yeah. So what's one of the coolest jobs you've ever gone out on?
That's a good question. I love them all because I get different experiences with my birds.
Yeah.
But downtown is a lot of fun. It really is. It's because we work in a team. Most of this work is pretty solitary. It's a guy on a vineyard by himself running around over 1,000 acres chasing birds, right? And that's super fun.
Yeah.
And exciting to figure out where they're coming and going from and set it up and get an angle on them and release your falcon and see a flock of 10,000 starlings spiral up into the sky with the falcon in pursuit of them, and they climb up to 1,000 feet because the falcon just keeps pushing and pushing and climbing, and then finally gets above them and dives through them, and the flock splits, and it's just mayhem. It's super fun. But downtown, it's a whole different thing. But it's a lot of fun because it's social and it's close working and it's relatively simple in terms of the logistics and the dynamics of the flights. That it's just a hawk bouncing around from tree to tree,
right?
And yet there's a lot of strategy to it as well.
Yeah, I bet that's got to be a lot of fun figuring out where they're going and how to do that. So I would imagine you have I think six raptors that you have. So I imagine you develop a pretty tight bond. Are they kind of bonded to one person?
Well, so the bond is pretty much one directional.
Okay.
Their raptors are they're not social.
What?
Right? Yeah, they're not social creatures, so they don't have that social need for human or otherwise interaction with species of animals of their own kind. They tolerate the falconer, and they, I think, appreciate the falconer because we feed them and keep them relatively safe, and their life's good. Yeah. But it's not a social bond. But the reverse is not true. We totally get attached to these guys, and if something happens, it's a pretty sad day. So. Yeah,
I would imagine so. What's the average lifespan for?
The large raptors, her size, can live 20, 25 years.
Wow. Yeah. And how old is Lucy?
6.
6. Okay. All right. It's in her prime.
Yep.
Right now.
She is.
I think that's really interesting, the bond and how that could work, and just having 6 of them, and I would imagine you get attached. Yeah.
You do, and they're also different. They have individual personalities and nuances in the way they fly. So every time, every flight with every bird is a bit of an adventure, and there's some uncertainty in all of that, which keeps it interesting.
I know I'm asking a lot of questions here, but I do want to know. You mentioned you say out in a field on a farm, you're sending your raptor up, flying off with all these starlings. What makes the raptor want to come back? Right.
The training is fundamental to that, but really it's really 3 basic things that connection comes down to, and appetite is one of them. They're predators, and they're focused on food and their next meal and where it's coming from and how they get it. And we teach them that that's coming from me, right? It's coming from the falconer. So they pay attention to the falconer. Wherever you go, they keep an eye on you. They basically follow you around, which is the goal. Whether they're in the air or going from perch to perch, they're focused on you, and you can kind of shape those flights and the results that you get. So appetite is one, but routine is huge. And that plays into this, what I just described, where what they know is that they get released, they run around, and they come back and they get fed. So that's their expectation. We reinforce that every time we fly, and that's really what they expect. So in the case of a large agricultural property, they may be out of sight from us for extended periods of time because they're just patrolling, running around, checking out places that are interesting, and knowing that this is essentially the place where we've been working all season, every day, and oh yeah, he'll be over at this end. I'll go catch up to him in a minute, kind of thing. So
yeah.
So routine and appetite and. Yeah, those are the main things that keep them focused.
Just keep doing it over and over, and then developing that pattern.
Yeah.
The expectation that you are food,
Yep.
or you're going to provide the food, not that you're the food.
Right.
You're going to provide the food. What's the interaction with the community like when you go out?
So one of the downtown work is one of the few instances where, one of a few projects where we have a pretty high degree of public interaction. On a private farm, we run into almost nobody, right?
Right.
At a landfill, it's different. There's public interaction, but everybody's in a vehicle. They're coming and going. They're dumping loads. It's not the same kind of thing. But in downtown, we're on foot. We're right there with you. Walk right up to the falcon, or here comes the hawk, landing right next to you. So it's fun, and a lot of people, because the people that use that space, they work there, right?
Yeah.
Or they have businesses there. So we've been doing this for 7 years. So there's a high degree of awareness of what we're doing. But for sure in the early years, it was a lot of questions.
Yeah, what's this guy doing with with the hawk downtown?
It's always positive though. Routinely we'll get a thank you and a story recalling how 6, 8, 10 years ago they used to always carry an umbrella going to and from their car, from their office, because there were so many crows that they needed the protection from their droppings. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've saved everybody from that. Okay, last thing I wanted to ask is just, what do you think is the most important thing for people to know about falconry and what you do?
That's a good question. Falconry is an ancient sport, and at its core, it's about hunting. It's about using raptors or partnering with raptors to catch quarry. And it's such a throwback kind of thing, right? It's the most archaic form of hunting you could imagine. It's the most inefficient form of hunting you can imagine. But the experience, the aesthetic of that is remarkable. And I guess to me, but translated to everybody, having a business doing this and being able to work with these guys for extended periods of time, all day long, day after day, that's just a privilege, just to be able to move through the world and earn a living and work these different projects through the eyes of a predator and to strategize with them to get results. That's remarkable. So falconry is a pretty simple thing. But it has a tremendous 4,000-year history, and myself and many others, have found a way to translate all those techniques and that historical knowledge into something that's very useful for our society currently, and provides a good life for the raptors and the falconers that do it.
Continuing on that ancient tradition. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kort, thank you very much for coming in today, and talking about this. I really, really appreciate it. And I want everybody to know, too, I'm going to keep my fingers away from Lucy. Where can they go and learn more about what you do and all your work?
Right, www.avian-solutions.com.
All right. Kort, thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, so there we go. I was watching it myself. As we come back on here, again, this is Fox 12 now. So that was recorded late last week when we had that. So thankful for Kort to come in. But I do have a little bit more information on that. So a couple of things, and then I've got a demonstration video and a behind-the-scenes video. So one thing that I did find out, and this wasn't in the interview, so when you saw Lucy kind of picking at her back or seemingly like ruffling some feathers back there, what we didn't get into is that what she's actually wearing is basically a bird harness. It's a really thin harness that goes underneath her feathers there, and then there is a little tracker on the back. And he said all of them have that. Doesn't hurt the bird. Lucy was just annoyed with it at that point. But that way, if just in case the raptors go out of sight or something like that, they're able to get back to them and track them down. So that's what was going on there. Something else here that I've got is a demonstration video actually that we recorded here, Fox 12 Oregon, a little over a year ago. And this is in downtown Portland. So this might give a little bit more context to what we're talking about with the mess downtown.
We heard this plop, plip, plip, plop, plop, plip, plop.
Lisa Schroeder and Rob Sample aren't talking about the rain we've been seeing. they're talking about crow poop.
Falling and falling and falling. So we realized, yeah, there's a need for this downtown. We really need to get those crows out of here and have them roost somewhere else.
For 6 years now, downtown Portland Clean and Safe has been working with integrated avian solutions to keep roosting crows out of downtown Portland. Because every fall and winter, 15,000 crows make downtown their home and leave their mark on sidewalks and benches, which becomes an unsanitary nuisance. But with the help of 5 trained hawks, murders of crows are chased away from downtown.
Mostly the hawks keep track of us. If we've done our training right, that's what happens. So I release my hawk, he moves around and basically follows me because I know he knows I have treats, I have rewards for him. All the crows that encounter him are going to run essentially, and it'll clear that block off and we'll move on to the next block.
Kort Clayton and his hawk Clive have been a pair since the program started, patrolling treetops and buildings 4 nights a week, 6 months out of the year.
I love it. It's been a hobby. Falconry has been a hobby of mine for 30 years.
And Portlanders who got to see these predators in action are relieved no crows are harmed on their flight out of town.
I think it's really exciting that they don't have to hurt the crows. It's like nature taking its course.
All right, so again, there we go, taking a look there at some of the actual action as that went on. Okay, so one other thing I did want to play here from behind the scenes of this with Integrated Avian Solutions with Kort Clayton was, I'm going to admit, I've always wanted to hold a falcon, and so I got to, so I just wanted to show the behind the scenes of how that happened.
Well, then just sit there for a minute. That works. All right, there's that. Put that on your left hand. Come here, kid.
How much does she weigh?
1,400 grams.
What do you need?
Here, stay right. So I'll step her on to the back side of your hand.
Okay.
And so what you need to know is just keep your arm horizontal.
Okay.
And make a fist.
Okay.
And if she starts to creep, if you lower your hand, she'll crawl up your arm. So raise your hand.
Okay.
If you keep your fist higher than your elbow, you'll be in good shape.
So make a fist.
Keep going higher. Yep.
Fist higher than your elbow.
Like this.
There we go. And I'll hang on to, I'll just hang on to this just so nothing crazy happens, but you guys shoot away, get all
You got multiple angles.
Hi, bud. Hi, Lucy. She is so calm.
Yeah, she's chill.
She's a sweetie.
All right, that was what we had there. I turned into more of a dork after that. But that was great. So Kort Clayton, Integrated Avian Solutions. Thank you very much for coming out and doing that. And thanks to everybody who's tuning in as well to Fox 12 Now. Appreciate all of you. We do have some more news we're going to be continuing on with on the website and the app. So if you're watching on social media, on YouTube or Facebook, you'll see this video end, but that's a good time to head on over to the website or those apps. They're available for pretty much any streaming service that you're on, and also for your phone. Just look for Fox 12 Oregon and you'll find that, and then click on the Fox 12 Now button. All right, so that's what we have for right now. I do want to say we'll of course be back if there's any breaking news. So again, wherever you're watching this, if it's between the hours of 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., outside of our other news broadcasts, this is the place to go for breaking news. So of course I'll be here with all of that information as well. So on social media, I'll see you later. On the website and the apps, I'll be back here in just a few minutes. I'm Greg Nibler. This is Fox 12 Now.